how do I make this short and sweet? Okay, so let's start with Happy New Year. And I really wish you everything that you are wishing for yourself. So some changes will happen on my basically channel. So make sure that you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, then you see this like thing in the right kind of like corner, bottom corner, just click on it, because you'll be getting some series and some invitations that other people won't have an access to. They're not going to be posted like publicly. And you know, also, if you haven't already, join me on my mailing list. The link to it is my description, because that is specifically important for those of you who really want to take advantage of private readings, or who even want to take advantage of Reiki and all of these other add-ons that I actually send to my subscribers. And before we move right into the action, let me just ask you to support the channel. They're like already made, they're already out. There is $29.95, I believe, for one sign, and $59.95 for all. So you just have to go with www.cattarot.ca/annual, and basically the rest of it is history. It's going to be the order, and you get it from me as soon as I see it in my mailbox. I send that reading to you. So that really supports the channel, and this particular year I'm going to be helping lots of animals who actually cannot fend for themselves. I'm talking about all the strays all over the world that, you know, really need that really loving touch, and I really hope you can help me in actually pushing that forward. You know, maybe it is just a drop in the ocean who really cares about a kitten who knows where it is, somewhere in Turkey, somewhere in Siberia. But you know, it matters to that pretty kitty that actually the life, the leg, whatever is needed, an eye is being saved. So without much further ado, let's jump into the reading and see what January brings for us, because this year brings lots of changes, and hence if you order your Taroscope, you're going to know all about it. So let's start, my dear friends, and see where January takes us. Hello Libra, and welcome to your January monthlies. So you got the Hierophant, you got Berkana, and you got autumnal or full equinox release card. So let's kind of like try to analyze this kind of like really generic messages strictly for you. It's really interesting because the Hierophant card is usually talking about mastery. That's somebody who is able to learn practical lessons from the study of natural law. The energy of this card usually kind of like points out to some kind of like resource that maybe can reveal the secrets of life or the cycles of the moon and tides, and they're like links between human beings and heavens, sort of like there is the bridge, the gateway, right? So because monasteries were the only places where a person could learn to read and write in the Middle Ages, the Hierophant was one to whom a student would petition for entry, right? It's almost like admission, kind of like exam, right? So it is like very clearly pictured with the right hand raised in blessing, and this is one of the, let me just like zoom this a little bit out. This is one of the earliest basically tarot decks. Visconti tarot, I think, dates back to the 15th century, right? This, I guess, is talking about initiation, right? That's kind of like raising the hand, and one who basically passes on the teachings. So all shamans today are drawing upon this archetype, right? So this is really falling in the advice position for you. So there you go. We have recycling outside. I guess you can hear it. Hopefully it's going to go away. It's kind of like green recycling today. So you need to, guys, develop your expertise. You need to have faith that you're a master in the making. Maybe you're kind of like bouncing off the ideas back and forth with the other people, but this is really suggesting a course of action which will kind of like harmonize what you want with what is currently possible. This kind of like definitely asks you to be a meticulous student. So whatever it is, you like tarot, join tarot school. Just read anything up to it. Go and, you know, buy books or go to library. Like read every little bit of it. You don't have to say, well, this is the path I'll follow, but all of these different kind of like streams are going to kind of like guide you somewhere, right? Because for mastery, it is usually like needed 10,000 hours. I really think that kind of like if you boil it down, would kind of like work out about 4 to 7 years for most people. And that's in the, like, I mean, old ages, they had that apprenticeship, right? Training that took this long. The same takes minimum for the spiritual learnings, right? Tarot, for me, it's like not something you can learn and off you go. I'm just sharing with you what I know up to this point, but I have to continue learning. Otherwise, in fact, you're not standing in a spot, you're going backwards. For you, this is really telling me that you will earn respect and recognition by actually completing your education and broadening your experience. So you'll be able to say the right things at the right time, right? Especially if you already have all the necessary experience that you need. I would say if you're looking for a job, then, you know, rewrite your resume so others can really appreciate who you are and what you can bring to a situation. Focus on your goal and be really determined. You're really maybe destined to be a master in your realm, right? Now, what is really interesting is like the combination, because this mastery is like combining with release. Also, sometimes a bigger mastery is to which things cannot stay, shouldn't stay, but you really need to let go of. So look at this. In the fall, the trees are not shy of getting naked and letting go all of these things, because the cycle has finished and there is like this pause, a pregnant pause before the spring is being reborn again, right? So if you wish, it's a death phase and then resurrection. I really feel that here this is really talking about letting go of many things in your home, such as maybe you have too much stuff. You know what is interesting about the stuff is that it kind of like has, every single thing has its energy. So if you have a dust on the stuff, that energy is suppressed down, and that suppressing of the energy is basically blocking the energy coming to you. So at the very least, kind of like clean that energy by dusting off, washing off, and trust me, you're going to immediately feel better. But this also can talk a little bit on a bigger scale, sort of like, hey, you know, you need to do quote-unquote spring cleaning. And it doesn't matter if you're in the winter or in the summer right now. If you have too much stuff and you didn't kind of like really attend to them, don't think, like my dad thinks, oh yeah, it's going to be good one day. And then you can never find it, and it's just basically clutter. This also can mean letting go of certain beliefs and letting go of certain relationships, right? Maybe certain things are just not happening. You know, certain medicines you can just take with the little spoons because too much is kind of harmful. Maybe some people in your life are just like that. And you need to ask yourself, and that's the harmonious nature of Libra, why are you still around? Because I know you like collections, but right now this is really asking you that you need to push yourself forward. I would say in combination, this is really talking about the situations where either you cannot learn anything from the person, they cannot learn from you, or where there is like no exchange of the energy any longer. You do know what I'm talking about. Some people come across as drained, and sometimes you just like walk in the room and like you're like tired. Like it's not that there's something bad about this person. It is just like that your energetic fields are absolutely kind of like neutralizing each other, even worse yet, crashing, right? So now the rune of birth, which came reversed over here, is telling me that it could be also some possible disturbing family news. It could be something about the health of somebody. Actually, in some extreme cases, this can be something actually very, very serious. Some of you may have planned some kind of celebration, and that actually can be cancelled. And has a big possibility of being cancelled. That certain things just didn't line up. Either maybe the venue is going out of business, or somebody important is getting sick. It's just like stars are not lining up, right? It can mean miscarriage for sure, right? And it can also mean that similarly that there is like that false start, right? Embarking on a course that kind of like leads nowhere, right? So if this is the case, guys, you're an air sign. Begin again. right? Also, you know, if you're planning to get pregnant at this point, I really think you'll have lots of problems with conception at this stage. So release is really also talking about mindfulness training, paying attention to your breathing, paying attention to how you're going to the next stage, right? Sort of like being a law into yourself, right? You need to kind of like, you know, you need to walk the walk. Maybe you already know all the stuff that you need to do, but you're not applying them yourself. So literally right now you're going to be typical air sign. I am kind of accountable not only to the others but also to me. And you're going to release anything that is maybe pushing out. You know, let's say you have people, you want to lose weight, and you have people around you who love you, and you know, we humans, we express love with food, right? And what is better than a chocolate cake, right? But if you tell friends, look, you know, I'm really determined to do that, and they still nudge you, then you really have to ask if that person is truly asking for your best interests. So there are going to be also two additional parts of this reading. One part is going to be additional general reading, just we can cover everything that actually wants to talk to me. And another part is going to be strictly kind of like a relationship that we can really look into that. So let me start shuffling for the first part. So guys, we have 3 of Earth, 5 of Sky, 6 of Sea, the Empress and the Emperor, and 2 of Sky. So there is like this element of overthinking over here, because the Hierophant is more or less suggesting some pragmatic aspect in it, but there is like definitely some really strong, I would say, power couple, or you're like really either wondering about being in a couple and being a mother, and it's almost like you're like revisiting different aspects of that coin. Yeah, I would love to be a mother, but this is lots of work, and you know, I'll be upset, and will I be good? It's kind of like the question that usually air sign asks, right? And we kind of like go this extra mile. Yeah, I want to have a kid, the biological clock is ticking, but oh my goodness, I really want to be responsible, and it really takes kind of like that extra mile that you have to wake up and you don't feel like wake up. You have to do things when you don't feel like. You have to take time off work. It is expensive. So almost like kind of like looks like something like that will be going through your head. You might be also having thoughts about somebody from the past, somebody who there's like either the essence of reminiscing, and it could have been somebody who you really hope to move forward, because I see this like 3 of Earth. Look at this, like there is like conscious effort, who is going to get this bug first, or keeping each other honest and nobody's touching this special bug, right? Now in this scene in 5 of Cups, what do we see here? We see 3 cats joining team to kind of like chase away this refined Sphinx cat. So the alley cats versus, you know, upper class cat. So the story in this book about the skies or the swords really talks about clans. Each basically suit has its clan. The sky suit, which is the air suit where we belong to, is basically really talking about very smart and intelligent kind of like cats. But they also do not want to be part of a society. They don't really care about who is rich and who is not rich. And even though they are extremely fierce and independent, and they can really fend for themselves, and they form strategic alliances, at the same time, these cats sort of like even within themselves are really trying to keep as much fence as they can, as much boundary. So this could be a threat coming, right? Something really good happening. It could be really, really upsetting. And basically the truth here is like that one extra cat in their tribe is not going to be hurt. It's not going to be too much. Sphinx cats are absolutely lovely, right? But the truth is like here is like that essence of non-admission. Either you are feeling that somebody's not letting you in, and honestly I'm looking at a Sphinx cat, and don't get offended because I really like them. They kind of like don't have fur. It is a Canadian cat. I don't know if you knew that, but they apparently, their skin is like so nice and fuzzy that it does feel like the finest fur, and they're like really, really loving pets. And for cat, it's actually very difficult to look pretty when wet, or when kind of like bold like this. But the truth is, that this cat is also very special. It took so much effort to kind of like really develop this very amiable, really refined breed. I think they actually have blue eyes as well, just like my Siamese. So what is the moral of the story here? This winning, is it really winning? Is this really something that is being accomplished over here? Because it could have been that you kind of like reach one of those points where you had to turn left or you had to turn right, and that became difficult because for Libras you're always kind of like wagering those two different kind of like sides and those two different opportunities and in which direction you want to go. Then you have like this 6 of C, which kind of like is a continuation. Like maybe you're reminiscing about somebody who, like, intellectually you understand, oh my goodness, I never want to feel like this again. Nobody's going to make me feel this again. And I was completely out of my element. I was just arguing and flying off the handle. And yes, they called me all this kind of like names and stuff, but partly, right, I kind of like deserve it. Partly, yeah, they're right. And I don't know why I behave this way. Well, I do know. Like there's like something I really wanted and it was like just not in the cards. Because 6 of C does talk about these dreams, right? A cat dreaming to swim and having this like big white tiger, being this like fierce white tiger. This is like about really being relaxed, really not taking your job seriously. Oh, I'm a cat, I shouldn't be touching water. There is like this really essential, almost like crisis, middle-age crisis kind of a thing, and I don't care if you're 20 years old. It is like, oh my god, I'm never going to get married. Oh my god, like I'm never going to find somebody. Oh my gosh, like it happens to other people. I'm totally seeing that. I'm totally seeing that there is like this kind of like state of mind over here, which could be based on something that has happened, especially if you're a mother, especially if something is happening. Maybe there was like some kind of a loss, or you felt somehow, I think, chased away, so the situation didn't really work out. Keep in mind that 3s are the vibration of this year, so if you guys order my tarot scopes, I actually have one whole segment on that meaning. And you have like 2 3s over here, which is really important. Let me see what else is here. So we have 8 and 6, 14, 7, 21, 23. Interestingly, it all goes back to Hierophant, because 23, 2 and 3 is 5, and that's the card number 5. It just goes back to kind of like you need to realize certain things. Remember how I was saying you kind of like need to be a good student. You need to study, but this is not something fluffy, go to school. Well, being a good student means we live in amazing times. When I was younger, I had to go to library. Some of you don't even know what the hell that means. And get these old books that were like 10 years old or something because of the copyright. You cannot put new books. Now they changed those rules as well. And read. And like you were limited to something that maybe is not even current. And to get current things, you had to go to very costly seminars, which, it's kind of like hard to afford. So not being the leading edge. Today, we have a different problem. We have proliferation of information. So it is really, really even hard to really know what to believe in and what not. And this is where the studying comes through, because you read a lot and it's just like coming into that human machine called us. And then we finally, when we are ready intuitively, we are ready logically to look into something. There's like really something, like in these 3 cards, If they were upright, I would say, whoa, we are celebrating. There's like something going on, either christening or a birth or even marriage. But they're reversed. So actually it could mean the opposite. It could mean something is in jeopardy. Something is another big question mark. And I'm wondering if this release simply means releasing a partner. So that could be a partner you are currently with, that you're having this arguments, or maybe things are just going one step forward, one step backward, and you're feeling that you're in some kind of like teeter-totter, which you see here. The decision has to be made, but it's like so hard to reach it. It's almost like you feel that at present you have no answers. It feels like, oh my goodness, where do I go with this? How do I go with this, right? So let me clarify a few cards here for you and see where we go. So first of all, I really want to see this Five of Sky, because that's kind of like a lose scenario. Libra is really fierce. You will initially, I have ascendant in Libra, so I probably do come across more as Libra than Aquarius, which is my sun sign. And I also luckily have moon in Leo, so I kind of managed to soften that air in me. But you do know that we start everything soft and everything gentle and everything we try to collaborate. And then we start to raise our voice, we start to up the ante, we start to insist, because we kind of like, when we decide something, we are not really doubting ourselves anymore. We are just simply shooting toward that goal, and kind of like we are laying down that rule. And then we can become the storm if things are not working out. And this specifically comes to play if somebody's not telling us the truth, right? Because you guys are being portrayed with this beautiful image of the woman holding the judicial scales. So that's the balance that you are striving to be. So let me see the arguments. I don't think you run away from other arguments being an air sign. But you take a note. Okay, we argued. Why did we argue? Oh boy, you didn't find your pants. Or, oh well, so your friends are more important than me, kind of a thing, right? Or you are taking a note that the difference is between discussion and argument over here, that somebody maybe wants to push you down. And just because you did let them win in that moment doesn't mean that you forgot that. And it almost looks like, I would not say it's a grudge, but you're kind of like in between these two opposites. Well, I like them, but I don't want to be with them. That's kind of like only when an air sign can get stuck like that. So let's see this Five of Sky. And I have a gift and I have foe. So see, it is a gift in disguise. It's literally like what it says. And maybe somebody who you thought it is an enemy, really, by behaving the way they behave, they're simply going to tell you who they are. Is that Maya Angelou who said, they're going to tell you who they are. Just listen, just watch. If somebody's treating somebody badly, if you see a tarot reader swearing at the other people, or, swearing, period, right? How do you possibly channel the messages with that, right? How do you possibly keep positive energy if you're applying so much negativity? And sure, we all get angry, and there is like a positive anger and a negative anger, and I shouldn't tell you any difference about that, because you guys can teach the lesson on that level, right? So this is almost like saying somebody is just going to try to either show off or display some kind of like arrogance or even aggression. And then you're going to say, oh, geez, thank you for telling me who you are, right? So it's like one of those things when you want to go on a date with someone, you organize everything, you really want to be extra pretty, you kind of like do your hair and clothes, and instead of like half an hour, you're spending the whole day kind of like getting ready. And then, 2 hours before, oh, I'm so sorry, I cannot make it, my friends are coming over. Oh, I see. Not important. Oh, it's okay, that's fine, right? And it's just like, as much as this is like uncomfortable situation and maybe even sad, it's one of those things that are going to so really quickly resolve. It's okay, look, you obviously, you don't get to have the benefits of how great I look and how much I prepare myself, and maybe you just decide to go and have a glass of wine or a coffee somewhere by yourself and then just meet somebody in that direction. In this particular month, I do see more of people from the past resurfacing, and that could be just simply by them directly communicating, because there is like some level of communication that's going to cause indecision, or that you are really intensely thinking about it. So let's see this Empress and the Emperor. What do I get there? You see, there is like a situation where you're really hoping that maybe things got out of hand, maybe things got too serious, right? You have a frivolity and you have hope. You didn't lose hope, and maybe this is why you're still standing, and wondering what kind of decision to make. Maybe you're the one who has to make this decision. Maybe you're the one depending on somebody's decision. Maybe you're not with somebody because there is like some kind of like sort of waiting for somebody in the situation, because after all, you started with some kind of like teamwork here. So maybe more of the teamwork and less of this arguing, but as I said, something is going to get really, really clear over here. Maybe you're not unclear, maybe you're unclear about the situation, and now you're going to reach that clarity, which is going to be able to make this decision. So let's check this like Two of Sky as well. Two of Sky. You have a friend and you have young lady. So you might be having different options. Maybe you're really wondering of somebody's status. Maybe you're wondering if this person should be just friend, put them in a friend zone, or vice versa, that somebody's putting you in a friend zone. Maybe you're wondering that somebody actually has somebody, or that maybe a child is coming in a way. Maybe you feel that you start dating someone, and instead of like this becoming serious as you would want, that there are always other places and other priorities that actually come ahead of you. And even though it looks like that you want to kind of like go with that collaborating nature of Libra, you're definitely noticing it at this stage, and definitely thinking, look, this is obviously the system. This is going to continue unless kind of like I make a change. So let's go in the third part. In the third part, I am actually going to look into relationships. So it's going to be both for I developed a spread that is like both for singles and for singles, and also for singles who just want to be single and those who want to be with somebody. And if you're really wondering and you're cross-watching, kind of like how is this person thinking, also there is a part for that. So 3-in-1, 4-in-1, what is it? So let me see. It is really interesting. Overall, you're really going to be doing lots of thinking, and it's going to be maybe some kind of like indecision. You just have to kind of like push through until the 21st, when everything is switching to Aquarius, and then this is your sister sign, and all of a sudden it's going to be nice and clarity and clear, and things are actually moving forward. So let's see, Libra for January. Oops. There it is. We have this 2 of Wands again, right? Which is like still indecision. It's kind of like, in which direction do I want to go? Do I want to build this world, or you really want to go back? You see, this one is bolted. There's like something old that is like stable, and maybe it is a decision about leaving that stability, maybe leaving a relationship, maybe leaving marriage, and kind of like embarking into unknown. So let me see, Libra. And there it is again, 6 of Cups, and this is that kitten swimming that we had there, Libra, and kind of like is this reminiscing. Well, let me put the other cards down, zoom it out so you can see the whole spread. Okay, so let's start. So singles, let's start with you singles. So what's going on here? You have 4 of Pentacles. Maybe you have been single for a while. Look at this dude, he's holding on to his pentacles. It's mine. But can he really enjoy everything that city can offer? Can he really be outside of the city that he's supposed to rule? It shows disconnect. Usually people get into that stage when they're hurt, right? When there's like this decision, oh my God, this really doesn't feel good, and I don't want to go through this ever again, kind of a thing. And we erect those walls, which are really useful and practical. It's kind of like, no call rule and that kind of things when this card happens. But sometimes we allow these walls to stay there forever, and those walls start to crumble. They need to be repaired, right? So we put a lots of time into maintaining that fence, that barrier, that brick and mortar, and it keeps falling on us. It basically starts to damage us. At one point, this is not a permanent solution. We need to realize, okay, that wall made sense, but right now I more or less want open concept. And that's what happens when this kind of reverses, because at this stage you're realizing that you need to kind of allow other people in. So this is a really, really good start in a good direction. Then you have the Moon, and then you have a King of Pentacles. So that could be somebody you have been with. That could be somebody who, could have been otherwise engaged, either in a relationship or something else. Now, you also, for those of you who are single and looking, you might have two very strong candidates, right? Both of them are appealing in different ways. This person is going to appeal to your romantic nature. It's going to be lots of stuff which is going to amuse you for a little bit. That person can have certain level of mysteriousness in them, dreamy kind of like sense of them, right? But also they're not highly focused, and they might, to some extent, feel that they're better than you. And you know how you have X-ray vision, you kind of like see through that. This particular person could be somebody who is a little bit pompous with money. You do like people with money. After all, you're Libra. You like all these like beautiful things that money can buy. But flashing money, that is like so kind of like gross, right? And however, it takes time to see that this is just who the person is, because nobody just, initially, because you open mind, you're giving this kind of like a thing. So it's going to be a really interesting month where you are going through some things. And some of you could be also, to some extent, wondering about somebody from the past, as I said, somebody maybe who either was unachievable, maybe somebody who has, be careful with this person, because that either is somebody from the past or somebody who is arriving in the future, and it could be somebody who is giving you all kinds of promises. This person sometimes forgets to say that they're married, and they tell you when it's too late, when you're hooked emotionally, when it's really hard to say buzz off kind of a thing. And that's why you're kind of like on a teeter-totter, where do I go, how do I go? And it's like no wonder that marriage card is showing through it. This also can be some really big jealousy. You might be very jealous, and for you jealousy should be a sign. Libra is not jealous, because you give and you expect to get it back. So when you are jealous, that imbalance is very evident. That really means the situation is like something for you that you need to retrieve, and you kind of like need to set your rules and be the leader in the situation. If this means, hey, releasing somebody because they didn't really want to kind of like dance with you, that's fine. But you have to figure out if you want to dance tango or hip hop, because it's not the same. And if you have this kind of like pair who is always out of sync because they're like basically dancing to a different tune, that's not going to work out. So let's talk about a partner. And that goes for everybody. What is a partner thinking? There's like somebody who is clearly here reminiscing. We have that repetition. It could be that, you have children with that partner. And let me see what else we have. Some of you are really daydreaming about this person coming through and telling you they love you. And I blame the, fairy tales for it. Fairy tales have like great value, but the fairy tales we have today and the generations who got raised in fairy tales, I don't know, from after the Second World War to today, those fairy tales are not real. For example, they remove those gruesome parts of fairy tales where owls will be pulling people's eyes, and I don't know, Cinderella sawing their feet. They kind of like sanitize these bad parts. So instead, we are waiting for somebody who is going to come through, and anybody who appears to be gentle and kind kind of like fit the shoe, and you kind of like hear this like wedding bells. But this person over here is just like that. That's a slick person who kind of like wants that emotional world, but just lives in the moment. It looks like almost like this person brings you turmoil. Look at that. Oh my god. So you might be divorcing some of you from this person. You might clearly decide there's like too much turmoil with this person. It could be somebody who is really cheating. I'm sorry to say this, and I'm sorry if this happened to you, but it's just not workable. This is a karma card, and like these two cards definitely tell me that this person is bringing turbulence to your life. There's like some kind of like stagnation. And do they say, yeah, I'm going to change, I'm going to get better? Yeah, they do. But when the Tower card shows up, it shows that maybe you're going to find something really shocking about them. Because both Knight of Cups and King of Pentacles have that deceptive value. Where is my little prop? My prop that got broken, right? So they kind of like look nice and cute. They tell you, see my unicorn. What do you want to hear? Here, I have the big shoulders, just like sleep. And then, you know, they show you the real colors. And you see how this whole prop lasted just a second. But anyway, you know what I mean, right? It's kind of like very hard for you to comprehend. Is this the same person? Is this the same unicorn? Oh my goodness, like how long was I sleeping kind of a thing, right? So keep this in mind. This person is getting two majors, very strong majors. And I don't know if you're dealing in particular, like, I mean, you have quite a few things. You have a fire, you have water, you have air over here, and in particular, maybe Libra, Aries, and Scorpio that I see very strongly coming through, or those energies like about justice. And you're really feeling, hey, this was not supposed to happen to me, but they feel like a victim too. And maybe this is their modus operandi. So let me see couples over here, guys. What we see for we have 10 of Pentacles, we have a King of Couples. You guys are going to enjoy this month. I mean, it could be that, you know, your husband, your wife, like, I mean, this is that energy of Leo. It's going to be some kind of generosity. It's going to be feeling comfort at home, like honestly you couldn't get better combination. So you might be also thinking about renewing your vows. You might be thinking about some kind of like celebrations. It's almost like you're going to love that entire feeling and essence of a family. It's going to be extremely important for you. And let's check general meanings over here. You have Six of Wands, you have Queen of Wands, and you have Chariot. So Six of Wands is definitely talking about somebody needs to be praised. You know, we all can use it at times, but some people simply kind of like dwell on it. Sometimes it can go to the point thinking, okay, are you my partner or are you my child or my pet? Are you a good girl, Shafi? A good girl, Shafi, right? Sure enough, like this is sort of like glue that we people have. This is that empathy. This is that kindness. But this is also a card of victory. Somebody, honestly, I'm thinking some of you, this can be very phallic over here, that some of you are dealing with a partner who is so sexual, but they're like really insecure in who they are, and they probably need to get that praise. Oh my gosh, you're so good, etc. I personally hate doing that. I mean, it just seems to be weird, and if person really needs that, but this is like literally what needs to be done. Or maybe you need to be praised. Maybe you feel, wait a minute, I kind of like really need something. So some of you might feel a little bit kind of like motivated to do things, but you are not completely certain what you want to do, but others will actually move forward. So it really depends kind of like on the other plans that you have, how this is going to be. So that's kind of like release or kind of like learn more. So learning more is sometimes just knowing how somebody tick, and if this is all I need to do, kind of like really give you like few good words, oh my god, I'm more than willing, you're more than welcome, I'm here for that, right? Even if you don't have those words for me, I can do that because this is on me. I can do that. So the chariot really talks about kind of like push forward in a new direction. It's kind of like resolution of certain issues, maybe finally reaching the decision, finally realizing by the end of the month in which direction you really want to go. So my dear Libra, I really hope this was helpful. And if you want private reading with me, please contact me via cattarot.ca. Also, please support the channel with my annual tarot scopes and support the animals that I'm supporting. That would be really awesome. So you can also get your daily dose of tarot through Facebook and through Instagram. I put dailies on it. And if you're still here, if this was resonating, and if you like my explanation, please subscribe, because some series are going to be subscribers only. So thank you very much for being here with me, and let's go into basically fantastic, fabulous January for you. Love you guys.